In the 14th century, an unparalleled evil spread like a shadow over Europe, leaving a trail of death and despair in its wake. Welcome to the story of the Black Death, a dark chapter that changed the course of humanity. Our story begins in Asia, in faraway China, where the Black Death found its darkest roots. In a vast and mysterious continent, where civilizations flourished and traders ventured along ancient trade routes, this deadly disease was brewing. In the busy streets of Chinese cities, the Black Death lurked, a haunting enigma lurking in the shadows. Along the Silk Road, an intricate tapestry of roads and caravans connecting east and west, this disease began its momentous journey. Following in the footsteps of daring traders and travelers, the Black Death advanced through inhospitable deserts, towering mountains, and lush oases. It traveled thousands of miles, an invisible shadow moving relentlessly toward Europe, carrying with it devastation and death. Finally, the shores of Europe welcomed this invisible enemy, an unprecedented threat that would change the course of the continent's history forever. Europe, unsuspecting and vulnerable, was about to face its worst nightmare. Merchant ships arriving from Asia brought with them not only exotic goods, but also a silent enemy that would infiltrate the hearts and homes of Europe, unleashing a pandemic that would scar the memory of humanity. At this crucial point in our history, we dive into the journey of the Black Death, an epidemic that spread across continents and throughout the centuries, leaving a legacy that endures in the collective memory of humanity. The Black Death, a relentless and cruel disease, did not distinguish between rich and poor, young and old. Its symptoms were a nightmare come true: intense fever, lymph nodes swollen to the point of looking like bulging bags of pain, and the dreaded appearance of black spots on the skin. These black spots, which gave the disease its name, were a seal of death, a sure sign that the person was doomed. Agonizing patients often suffered excruciating pain before succumbing to the disease. The bacterium Yersinia pestis, the causative agent of this calamity, found its way to people through rat fleas. The disease spread rapidly in crowded and unhygienic conditions, which were common in medieval cities. Rats, unwitting carriers of the plague, infested the streets and homes, and fleas fed on their infected blood before jumping on humans. This silent and lethal chain of transmission contributed to the rapid spread of the epidemic. Amidst the horror, humanity struggled to survive and understand the nature of the disease that plagued it. The Black Death left deep scars on history and collective psychology, reminding us of the vulnerability of life and the fragility of health. Thus, the medieval world faced an invisible enemy that threatened to erase the light of civilization. In our next act, we will explore the devastating impact this epidemic had on European society and how it forever changed the course of history. As the Black Death swept across Europe, cities once buzzing with life and activity were transformed into spectral vestiges of the past. Cobblestone streets became silent deserts, and houses and stores lay abandoned and in ruins. Even the imposing churches and cathedrals, once havens of hope and solace, now stood as shadows of their former selves, their ivy-covered steeples and empty pews mute witnesses to the suffering that had ravaged the land. The fields and villages, once teeming with life and prosperity, were transformed into desolate landscapes, where silence was interrupted only by the wind rustling through the empty fields. The wealth of the land had been replaced by the wealth of death. European society, which had once flourished with trade and culture, was plunged into despair. Entire families were devastated, and those left behind faced an uncertain future. Desperation led to the persecution of suspected carriers of the disease, extreme measures to prevent contagion, and the creation of barricades to protect against an unseen enemy. Social relations fractured as paranoia gripped the population. Churches, once spiritual havens, were filled with mournful funeral processions, and the air was thick with anguished wailing and prayers as people sought solace in faith. The Black Death not only took lives, but also left indelible scars on European society. In the next act, we will explore how humanity clung to hope and began to rebuild their lives in the midst of darkness. Despite the devastation, humanity did not surrender to the Black Death. In the decades following the epidemic, monuments were erected in memory of the fallen, reminding us of the importance of honoring those who lost their lives in the fight against this relentless enemy. European society, still reeling from the tragedy, began to rebuild. Cities slowly rose from the ashes, and life returned to the once deserted streets. The Black Death also spurred advances in medicine and science. Physicians and healers, though still far from fully understanding the disease, developed a more solid understanding of how to treat and prevent the spread of the plague. The medieval era came to an end, and Europe emerged from the shadows with renewed determination. The experience of the Black Death marked a turning point in European history and set the stage for the Renaissance, an era of rediscovery and cultural advancement. Educational institutions were revitalized, and a new generation of thinkers and creators began to question the world around them. The arts, literature and science flourished, challenging the shadows of the past. The Black Death also changed the social structure. Opportunities previously denied to the lower classes opened up, and communities began to work together to overcome hardship. The spirit of resilience and solidarity became a beacon of hope. Today, we look back on the history of the Black Death as a reminder of humanity's ability to face the darkest adversities and emerge stronger. We keep alive the memory of those who suffered and those who resisted. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Black Death. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more historical content. See you next time.